All right. Looks like live is working. And happy Friday, everybody. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about businesses reopening in states, so reopening and across the country and kind of what that means for people. And today in Texas, it's officially the first day of the first phase of our government giving some businesses permission to, quote unquote, reopen with certain restrictions. And these decisions to reopen states or reopen businesses more appropriately has really led to a huge outcry of opinions that are completely across the board, differing opinions. All of them seem to be really strongly held opinions, and people are taking to social media, to state their opinion on whether a business should or should not be able to reopen. And everybody is really excited, or they're really angry, or they're really scared or fearful, and they're all trying to tell every business and the employees of those businesses what they should be thinking and what they should be doing. And specifically, I want to speak to the business owners, the managers, the people that are faced with making a ton of really complex and difficult decisions. So I want to speak specifically to those managers and those leaders, but also if you are an employee of a business that is considering and debating whether or not or when they will attempt to reopen, I would like you to really pay attention to this too, because I think this can work in your benefit if you take some of the things that I want to talk about and some of the things I would like for these managers to take into consideration. You might be able to apply that in your situation as an employee. First off, I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers for you, or I can tell you when to open, whether to reopen, how to reopen. I can't tell you that because I don't know your specific situation. I don't know what state your business is in. I don't know what decisions you're even able to make and which decisions are out of your hands. And I also want to acknowledge that there are really no right and no wrong decisions, despite what people would have you believe. And I say that there are no right and wrong decisions here because every decision that you are going to make over the next few months is going to have significant trade offs and significant consequences. And those consequences could be good, it could be bad, but you're going to have to make those decisions because that is your job in a leadership role. And again, I would ask the employees that are tuning in and watching this right now to consider that these owners and managers, these people making these decisions, keep in mind that these people are human. And right now they are faced with making a bunch of difficult decisions, as we all are during the past 6, 8 weeks. And these people making these decisions also consider that they're weighing a million different things in their minds. And they're kind of being asked to do the impossible because they're being asked to make decisions that are going to make everybody happy or make everybody feel safe, make everybody feel comfortable, get everybody back to work or gainfully employed or making sure that they've got money in their pocket. And it's a fool's errand to expect these people to make decisions that are going to make everybody happy and everybody comfortable and feel safe. It's just impossible to do. So what I like to do instead is just maybe give you some things to consider to help you navigate your thought process and your decision-making process as you're going through and having to make a series of challenging decisions. And I'd like to do that so that you can potentially avoid the shit show that I've seen a bunch of other business leaders run into who have just jumped right in and made decisions to reopen, not to reopen, and they face kind of the wrath and the outcry of the court of public opinion, among many other things. And I say all of this and letting you know I am far, far from the perfect manager, but I've had a lot of opportunities over the years to get better at this part of my responsibilities. And I think that I can provide you with some context and just with some ideas. So the first thing I would ask you to do, and this is the thing you're basically already doing, is figuring out what are the restrictions that the government has put in place for reopening and how that potentially looks in your business or your department of a business. If you're consumer facing, what type of help would you need, and how much of that help would you need to actually serve a realistic demand from your customers given those restrictions? So if you could open up at 25% capacity, what does that look like? And then what kind of help from your staff, and how much of that help would you need? And then while you're doing this and figuring out sort of what that workforce would look like, then if this was me, I'd be contacting all of my people or giving them at least an update, a mass email or whatever works. I might call them, I might send out a big group email or something, and I would give them an update to let them know what's going on, and that I'm weighing the pros and cons of what our options are, and that I will then be reaching out to each of them individually. And I feel like I would be doing this to let them know that I really value their individual personal situation and their individual circumstances. A lot of the things we have to take into consideration right now is that there are people who love to go back to work, but they've got kids at home, and childcare has not reopened here in Texas, for example. So by letting them know I'm going to reach out to them individually, it helps to reassure them that I want to understand their unique individual circumstances. And then I would do exactly that. I would figure out what my first best staffing plan would be given the current conditions. And then I would start reaching out to people one by one, and I would lay out what I think the best plan is. And I would tell them that I want to hear about and I want to understand their desires. Do they want to go back to work? What are their worries? What are their feelings? What are the fears? What are their concerns? And I would gather all that information, and I would make sure that I got that from every single person who I was responsible for. And yeah, that could take some time, but it's going to pay off so much in the end. I think you'll be surprised. And I would also then wrap up each conversation individually by letting those people know that I'm not going to be making any decisions until I have a chance to talk to everyone and really know where everyone's coming from. So that way they know when I will probably be reaching out to them again or announcing my decision. And the next thing I would probably do is, after I got done talking to everyone, I would then contact everyone as a group again, and I would let them know that I'm going to be considering the conversations that I just had with everybody individually, and I will be making a number of decisions going forward, and I will then reach back out to them as soon as I can. And then as I'm working with the other major leaders in my organization, other major stakeholders, I would be continuing to work with them in making the best possible decisions that make sense for the survival of our business, while also respecting our employees' wishes and concerns as much as possible. And then once we made that first series of important decisions to where we knew what our next step was, are we going to reopen? Do we have a schedule for it? Do we have a forecasted plan for it? Are we reopening immediately? Have we decided to just wait, another month and make another decision? Whatever that may be. As soon as we've made those decisions, we would then communicate that explicitly to the group and let them know these decisions that we've made and the context around making those decisions. And then also I would have them recognize that, these decisions that we've just made are the best decisions we could make given all the information that we have right now. And they could be the best decisions for the business, and they may still not entirely work out. We're in a time right now where the primary thing that everybody is doing is adapting. And we're having to constantly adapt. A lot of businesses have already been adapting, trying to stay in business while they couldn't keep their physical brick and mortar location open, for example. So letting my people know that these are the decisions we've made right now, and we think they're the best decisions for everybody, but knowing that that could change. So that's probably the steps I would go through, especially in running a small business. If I have a small business with a physical location, is just to loop in all of my people not to make decisions, fully democratically. In end of the day, leaders are still gonna have to make some tough calls, and you're gonna have to be decisive. But I think what you're going to find whenever you do hear everybody out and you get their, fears, their objections, their worries, their concerns, their desires, is they're going to feel a lot more like you actually value their opinion, and you are going to be able to make more informed decisions versus potentially just making a decision without consulting any of the people you actually need working for you. And then you could run into any number of problems if you try to reopen and you've got a workforce that isn't ready to go back to work. Um, I don't think anybody really wants to be in a situation right now where they're losing a ton of people who felt that their employer didn't really care about their opinion or care about their concerns or their worries. Because then you're left trying to hire a bunch of people rapidly and your business is closed anyway. So, anyway, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Would you do any of these things that I've mentioned today? What are some things you might do differently? And I want you to drop me a comment and let me know what you might do out of this list that I just gave you, some things you might do differently, how you're going about making your decisions to reopen, to delay reopening. And yeah, let me know in a comment, and please share this with someone who would find this valuable. Till next time, cheers.